We're doing the Shitbox Rally! You hate that.
Every time.
Every time!
Alright.
So, episode 3 on Please Give Us Money.
We need your money. You don't need it, really.
Yeah.
Do you? Most of our friends are middle class, it's fine.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, mortgage interest rates are going up, but...
What was it Sonia said today? You know, ride it out.
Live your best life.
Live your best
and help
life.
us live our best lives.
And help people with cancer live their best lives.
Or just live, even. Live, really, is what we're trying to achieve. And then maybe best is a goal beyond that.
Yeah. So, as we've mentioned before, we're doing the Shitbox Rally. April, we have to raise $5,000. So, we've given you some information about roads that we've done, information about us, and the rally itself a little bit.
The next most important thing, besides us and the roads, are the cars.
Yeah.
So we thought we'd tell you a little bit about cars and our experience with those.
And you're going to try and show some of the cars we've had.
I will. I'll
edit it in.
I'll intersplice some photos of some of our previous shitboxes.
Yeah. All right. So the first question is, what has been your most shitbox car?
I was about to say without a doubt, but there's been a few. Probably my first car here in Australia, because I had to buy it with very little money, because I came here with very little money. I called him Felix. He was a 1998, I think, or 97. No, 92. I think it was 92, yeah. It was old. He was old. Mitsubishi Lancer, which I bought off some Nepalese dudes. For
$900?
For $900, they had it up for $1,000. I haggled them down to $900, and then I felt bad when we went into the house to get the paperwork because there was like 9 other dudes sleeping on mattresses in the floor. It had it was a 1.8 litre petrol. It only weighs like 960 kilos or something, so it went pretty well.
Important details.
And it had, but the dude, someone at some point really loved it because it had amazing mag wheels on there. The wheels were probably worth way more than the car was. It had a racing exhaust and a racing air filter fitted. And a sneaker, a white sneaker, badly hand painted, on the rear bonnet. On the rear boot lid, and on the bonnet it had a nuclear disarmament symbol painted on there as well, and like faded paint and everything. It was a cop magnet. I used to see every time I went past the car, I used to watch the rear view mirror, waiting for them to turn around and come back after me. That was probably the biggest. Oh, and the door didn't close properly, and there was like about a ½ centimeter gap that you could see through, that like rain and everything could get through, and yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my biggest shitbox.
That's your biggest shitbox.
Yeah.
Well, my biggest shitbox was a 1973 white Valiant Ranger that had been my parents' but became mine for a while before it was not really roadworthy anymore. But it had rust holes that you could fit your fist into, and it leaked brake fluid, so you had to top it up every single day just so that the brakes would work. The vinyl seats were split, and it had the bench seats at the front and the back, and it was just all split, so you get bits of foam stuck to you if you got a bit sweaty, and the classic all metal buckles, so that during summer you burnt yourself on them.
Ah, yes. Metal interior bits is a very common thing here in Australia for burning yourself on. The belt buckle is what do they call it? The thingy brand or something? What are they? I thought there was a special Australian name for it when you branded yourself with that.
I don't know. Maybe.
I'm sure she gave me a special name. But I haven't done it with the belt buckle, but with my shitbox that I had, I did it with that. Someone felt the need to put a chrome gear knob, not stock, a chrome gear knob into the car. And the first time I grabbed that after being at work all day and getting into the car, I got a nasty shock. But what she said about the having to constantly top up the brake fluid in the car, that is a good classic sign if you own a shitbox, is having to top up any kind of fluid, or as our mate
daily.
Rob would say, keeping it wet. Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, Feliz, our other car that we took a long way, he
lots of fluids needed.
Power steering fluid, usually,
and oil,
and
constantly oil.
Yeah.
However, okay, so there are our shitboxes.
Yeah.
So mine was when I was 16 and a half. Yours was...
when I got here, so 28.
Yeah. bit of a space between them. Anyway, what's been your worst crash?
Well, I've had a lot. Like in the past, I haven't crashed for ages, but I used to...
Got close a few times.
Yeah, I used to be... I used to drive too fast and things like that. Although every crash that I had was always when I wasn't driving fast. Just, yeah.
Oh dear.
Oh, which one? Which one do I pick?
I don't know. You did roll a car once
onto
its roof.
Yeah, I rolled my mum's car.
Yeah, that's your worst crash.
Years ago.
Soon as you do it to someone else's car, that is your worst crash.
Yeah, but the crash with Felix died in was pretty... Felix the car, not a person called Felix, died. There's been several, but my worst crash was years ago doing a delivery for my family's business, for my dad, basically. Coming back from the delivery on a 60-mile-an-hour road, a national speed limit in the UK, which is about 100 k's, by the way, for Aussie metric people. There was a turn coming up, but it was a turn where you sort of the road rises up and then dips back down again, and there was kind of leaves on the road and stuff, and then it turns to the left. And I realised as I was going around it that the car was starting to lose grip a little bit.
I like the way you turn your chair to emphasise the losing grip.
Yeah. So I sort of managed to pull in a little bit to avoid this car coming the opposite way. But then I turned too much, and I just avoided that car, and I realised that I was going to fishtail, and I was going to go sideways on into the car behind it. So I swung the wheel back around again, and there was, on the opposite side of the road, a little lay-by that I thought I could just about get into, but because of the swerve of the car, I couldn't quite reach it. So I weaved between these two cars and hit the curb. And if you hit a curb in a light car, it was a Vauxhall Astra, a Corsa, a Holden Corsa, yeah. Or a Barina here, I think it would have been. I hit the curb and it launched me up into the air because it's a very light car and I'm doing 60 miles an hour. And,
how old were you?
I would have been 19. And would have been fine, just damaged the suspension or whatever, except I hit a sign as I was in the air. And that caused the car to start rolling, and I rolled 540 degrees. I smashed in the roof luckily on the opposite side of me, on the passenger side. And it came to a stop. Didn't realise really that I was upside down. Everything happens really slowly, but obviously you're kind of in shock a little bit when that kind of accident. And so I undid my seatbelt and obviously fell onto my head. Not thinking, cut my head. That was the only injury I got. I cut my head on the glass in the car. The radio was still on, so I turned the radio off. I remember doing that, and then I crawled out the window and just kind of sat on the curb, sort of in shock. And it turned out the two people who I just missed, so they'd stopped further up because they obviously realised what had happened to me. The person in front was a nurse, and the guy behind was a doctor. And he had a cigarette, and that was the best tasting cigarette I've ever had in my life.
Doctor giving you a cigarette.
Yeah, and then the cops came, obviously. And in case anyone in Australia doesn't realise, it's way better if you have an accident in the UK because they take care of everything, man.
No one cares.
Yeah, nobody cares.
No, I mean, no one cares.
I think we would care. It's impressive. The emergency services just take care of everything. And the cop, he thought it was hilarious because the bit that he thought was the funniest was the sign that I'd hit was the "Welcome to Tandridge, please drive carefully" sign. And from where I'd hit it, it had landed perfectly face up in the bushes, which tickled him pink. But yeah, he dropped me off back at the restaurant, and my dad he saw me and just asked me if I delivered the curry or not. And I was like, well, I'm not covered in curry, Dad, so yeah. So that was my worst.
Dear.
What about you?
I crashed my boss's car. Which is always... It wasn't a write-off or anything like that. It was front panel damage. I hit, driving back from Glen Helen, which is in the West Max near Alice Springs. Driving back after dropping students off at a school camp. And I hit a tourist bus while trying to overtake them because the sides of the road wash away in outback Australia. So there was just a bit that had washed away. It was all gravel. Slammed into the side and smashed up the front panel. Was able to drive back, but my favourite bit was when the insurance company for the tour bus company started ringing me up trying to demand that I pay for it, saying that their vehicle was not in action, they couldn't use their vehicle. I said, oh, that's funny, because I've seen it at Coles today. Alice Springs is a very small place, and they didn't realise this, that I'd seen it driving all around town. So, no, your vehicle is absolutely fine. Goodbye.
So I don't get to tell people about the emergency services in the UK.
Yeah,
You get to tell people about the insurance
Yeah, because mine's
shit.
funny.
Alright, okay. Sure. The first time I had an accident here, and I got told that I had to organise the towing of my car, even though it was someone else's fault. They'd hit me. I was like, are you serious? Like, ridiculous, man. Australia.
Alright. What has been your favourite car and why?
What will probably end up being my favourite car is the Suzuki Jimny, the new one that we got. That was a birthday present, but we haven't had time yet.
It's only been on one road trip, so one big road trip.
Yeah.
So, and even that was small by our standards.
So my favourite car has got to be the car that we did all of the road trips, basically,
my favourite
all the big
as well.
road trips around. For Lee's, a 2000 Mitsubishi Magna
Advanced
3.5 litre V6.
So beat up.
It was so beat up. It was pretty. It had been hit by it had been in a kangaroo accident when I bought it in Bordertown. I had no choice but to buy it because there was only 2 cars for sale in Bordertown, and the other one was also a Mitsubishi Magna that had been in a slightly worse accident. So I just replaced some of the front end and redid the seat belts.
So yeah, that's when I met. That's when we met. You had that.
And
you just had
car
that
was
car.
1500 as well, which actually would have qualified it for the Shitbox rally.
It's what we wanted to do this rally in initially, but we passed that one over to someone else, and it then ended up in the Wreckers. But that was a great
We
car.
found it though.
We found it in the
and
Wreckers.
she took some of the fabric from the seats.
I pulled all the fabric off
And
the
made a
back.
cushion for the new car that we got. That's kind of like the spiritual successor to that car.
That was a great car.
Yeah,
We'd just cut things off as we hit them.
And I called him Feliz because I was partial to the name Felix from the previous car that died in a separate accident. I called him Feliz because I thought, well, I can't call him Felix. And Felix means lucky, the name, but obviously it wasn't very lucky for the previous car. So I went for Feliz because of the accident that he'd been in. He didn't have a front grille for a long time, so it made him look like he had a mustache, which I thought made him look Mexican, which might be a bit racist, I'm not sure. But
It just means happy. So yeah, and he did. He made us very, very happy. Yeah, definitely our favourite car.
Yeah, there's some great adventures in that car. And some near misses as well.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of near misses, but that's...
Hit some more kangaroos. So
Wallabies, kangaroos, budgies. That
Lots
was the best.
Of budgies.
Hitting a budgie at 180 kilometres an hour leaves a ghostly imprint on the windscreen.
It does, but doesn't break the windscreen, so that's all right.
It scares the shit out of you when it happens, though.
So we have had quite a few cars between us, and we've been partial to most of our cars, which makes buying a car for this rally, because we've got $1,500 maximum. That doesn't include things like tyres and insurance and stuff like that. But we do have to find something we're happy to do it in. So
it's a long way over a rough road.
Yeah, because while we're driving from Adelaide up through the centre down across to Perth, we initially have to drive from Adelaide to Perth.
Because when we first wanted to do this, we were living in Adelaide.
This is the route, but we have to start here, and we're going to drive across here first, which is about 3,500 kilometres.
It's almost like double. We're doing like double the distance in this car.
Yeah.
Although the way there is easier because it's on bitumen all the way.
Yes. However, it is intensely boring than Nullarbor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a long way. It's got the longest section of straight road in the world there. It's like 97-mile long straight.
So we've got to do a big road trip on the bitumen, and then we've got to do a big road trip on the dirt and bitumen combined. What car do we want to do this in?
We know everything that goes wrong with the Mitsubishi Magna, having had one for a very long time, and having the Verada now, which is basically a Magna.
Fancy Magna.
Yeah, they're very reliable cars. They leak oil, but that's
that's oil. Yeah. If oil is your only problem, that's not a problem.
If anything goes wrong, they let you. It's going wrong. It lets you know for a really long time.
Yeah.
We had an alternator problem and still did like
12,000 kilometres.
Yeah, we did. We went a long. No, it was 1,200 or something.
No, it's 12,000 kilometres. I've got the video footage.
Nah, dude, because it was early bit. It was thingy, and an early beach to.
Are you really going to argue with
the
me?
The whole East Coast trip was only like 12,000 kilometres, so there's no way that could have been
12,000 kilometres.
I don't believe it. We'll check it out. We'll check it out in the next video. We'll let you know who was right. No. No. All right, is that it?
Is that it? That's a dead ending. Is that it?
There you go. That's the ending.
Wait. What do you need to ask people for?
Oh, lend me $20. Lend me $20.
Yep.
Go to the link.
Yep. So we'll have a link below where you can go to our.
I mean, lend me
page.
more than $20 if you can afford it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it was 250 people, $20 each.
Yeah. Maybe tell a friend. Tell a friend to lend me $20.
Like, share, and subscribe.
All right.